role is I have a lot of different things going on, right? When I'm working with a third party creative, which is really like something contracted, it can be a huge hurdle if they just kind of don't get it. That's everything from just really the spirit of hospitality. So understanding warmth, understanding that feeling that's so important to convey through any sort of like content that we're looking for. Restaurants are like a living, breathing thing, and we have to constantly be cognizant of how are we being thoughtful about not only like, not interrupting the guest experience, but also really working cohesively in a really positive way with our restaurant leaders and our restaurant teams in a way that really will not only get them to feel good about the fact that we're going in kind of in their home, but also bring out the warmth that and like that openness that really translates to awesome content. Furthermore, this is a 3-part answer. I love it. 3 parts. You speak the language, and I'll tell you what, I work with, TV crews and people who are like, they go everywhere and they're so awesome. But the fact that they just don't really understand at times where I'm like, no, I don't want that part of the kitchen shot. Or like coming into this very tiny kitchen we have is like really delicate process. And so when the fact that how that operates is like a game changer. When you and I were working together, we also did some really great like food and beverage specific content. So everything from training content to like more like that kind of internal team facing content, more of the guest facing content with like some really fun behind the scenes and storytelling. You did such a good job and understood like who the audience was. So from the team facing content, it was about clarity. It was about being concise and digestible content.
You're hired if you want to work in sales for me. If you need some more hours.
Danley, let me tell you about what I love about Danley. You have this is kind of a weird one, but like you have your background in music. I'm like so much of really great editing and like video content and marketing. And like, it's like one of the senses is like this ability to understand rhythm and how music can drive mood and feeling and like kind of the subliminal message around a brand. That's like just this extra layer of like something that is very very infrequently do I come across like people who really get that.
Well, that's very cool.
Did you know that about yourself?
That's how I got into video. Is I was composing music for commercials for other people. I done a few. When you think about how your brand is this, the gut reaction that someone has to your products and services, right? Well, we feel rhythm and we feel pattern in our gut, harmony, melody, dissonance. It all comes from our core when it's experienced. Yeah. So it's like the way that experiencing a brand and, feeling with music. I was looking at my hands as they were doing this. I don't look down at it.
Yeah.
It's really interconnected. And I didn't think about that when I was younger.
I was going to say too, like, I think of that feeling when a brand or when like achieves this moment, or like you watch a video that kind of achieves this moment where you get like the goosies, like, and that's to me, like, that's that feeling that like I'm looking for. And that's what I felt like we would get so often is like, I was like, oh yes, like it's that feeling. And it's the feeling that way you want to immediately forward it along to like other team members or stakeholders because there's this like excitement around it.
Brittany, I honestly get goosebumps when I talk about brand strategy to people who never have heard it. And when I explain it in a way where they like get it and I see the light go off, their eyes give me the goosebumps because they're like, oh, I didn't realize it. And I was like, that's why you spend the money on what you spend your money on. Yeah. And people don't, it's like a game of subconscious.
I'm like I feel like you and I are both like brand nerds. And I'm like a firm believer that like you can be so smart, you can know tactically like how to, SEO, like hit on the right channels, have the right budget. But like if you don't have a really strong brand, it's just not going to hit. And like, it's actually really interesting how really strong brands don't have to do as much and don't have to spend as much when they do have a really strong brand and they do have really the strong content to back it up.
I wanted to say this because it's kind of a deviation from what we're talking about brand. You're showering me with all this all of these compliments because I asked you to. But what made you and your team such a good partnership for me was really all of the things that you said mirrored back to you. The understanding that we value someone who is in pocket and is in rhythm, and you and the team understand that, yeah, sure, we have budgets. We're a bigger company. We're growing a lot, but we are investing in the right type of creatives who get the bigger picture. Everyone can learn how to use a $3,000 camera in one afternoon on YouTube, but you were a good partner because you understood the value of investment and the value of the impact that you actually did need to make on people. And I'm like always searching for that brand. So when we collide and we create that content that transforms and grows an audience, it's extra special.
We're all looking for that values. Aha, you get what I'm trying to do. And that's for so many reasons. Like, I mean, one is like, it always yields a better, like it's so mutually beneficial, right? And then it's also enjoyable and fun. And like, to me, that's so important. Like, I want to like who I'm working with. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And a part of that is making really cool shit that is really impactful and like makes a difference, you know, in our business, in people's lives, and kind of like trickles to like a more deeper place, you know, has, I guess, more of like a deeper meaning and like a higher purpose. And that to me is like, that's what's exciting. That's what we're all to do.
I made this big mistake back when I worked with you guys, is that I thought of you guys as a client. I had this client mentality, and what I didn't have that I have now is a partnership mentality. When you align on your values and your mission, great. And then you both equally get the goosebumps from when your tribe grows, or when your tribe gets it, or when they start sharing it right away, and you didn't budget a spend on this content, and it's soaring through the internet sphere because people are actually resonating with it. That's like the thing we're always chasing. You know, you and I know this. If we could just keep making content that like builds their own identity off of the things that we create off of a brand, like that's pretty empowering.
It makes me kind of think about just like all the things that make me want to work with you. I mean, it's kind of like this magic recipe, right? There's so many wonderfully creative, dynamic people out in the world. But when you find somebody that has kind of this like combination of different characteristics and skill set, those are the people that you're like, I want to work with you. The outcome of that is it's a really positive experience along the way. And then it comes out to like a really great deliverable or product. And that's just the consistent experience that me and my team have had with you. You're positive, and positive people are solutions oriented and collaborative. It doesn't take a lot of explaining. You're like heard, you're positive, you're collaborative, you're communicative, and very like you're the one following up. And often, again, like in my seat specifically, I'm just like, I'm pulled in a lot of different directions because there's just so much going on, right? It's like social, sentiment, emails, all the things, like writing strategy, and you're following up, and you're on top of it, and you're remaining at the top of my inbox or my text thread or however I prefer to communicate, which is important to me. You're reliable, you're tactical thinking. You're both like strategic and like tactical thinking. So you're asking all the questions that need to be asked in order to go out and get the content we need. And then like you propel the brand. So as far as like, it's not just me saying, this is exactly what I want. You're really a thought partner and coming up with ways to achieve kind of what our brand vision is. And that's so, so important to me. Like I can't, you know, singularly come up with the ideas. My team really can't singularly. And it often is so beneficial to have some fresh eyes on the brand when it comes to how can we not only just stay here, but like get to that next level. What are other brands doing that like we might not be thinking of even outside of our industry? So I just always appreciate your insight. There's a lot of people I don't want to take meetings with. And I'll tell you that like I get the email or and I'm like, I don't have time. And like, that's almost because you don't have this, like, you don't know, like time is precious and you really have to people have to be really disciplined about how they use their time. I guess if I were to like tap that person on the shoulder, I'd be like, this was worth it. Like, this is somebody you want to talk to because you're qualified. You're really collaborative. You get business, you get brands. While you're a brand nerd and like love really brands doing really cool shit and are ready to take a lot of really big risks and come up with really cool ideas and deliver on them, you're ready to like meet somebody and meet people where they are and hear, you know, what they're looking for. And you're going to be a really great extension to their team. You're ready to jump in feet first be a partner in understanding what their business initiatives are and how you can enhance that. And you're going to very quickly come to the table with ideas, which are, again, creative energy is hard to like muster up all the time, especially for marketers who are, have a lot of different responsibility and like not all the mind share in the world. And so, you will immediately jump in feet first, come up with ideas, deliver those in a really dynamic way that will allow that person to then share those ideas with their stakeholder. And you're ready to say, okay, let's go. And here's what that looks like. Here's the timeline. Here's the budget. And that's what like keeps things moving. And that's what like gets, people from point A to point B.
Good. How did you find the process of creating and implementing video and brand strategy with me? How did you find it? And I think you already answered it.
I found it so enjoyable. And I mean that not just like yippee fun, we're cracking jokes. I found it enjoyable because it was also successful. That's like a part of the equation for me. And when you can find, a partner who is both, there's like a successful communications, it's enjoyable, and also you're yielding something that's really impactful and special. That's what I experienced with you. You're an expert and you're also this like jack of all trades. So if I was like, hey, can you do this? You'd be like, yeah, totally. You can host, write scripts, you can like time things out, you can edit, you can give some really great perspective and like insight and advice around like larger strategic decisions, like surrounding content or surrounding our brand. You're like really innovative, yet also have the ability to like tactically make things happen, which again, I think that I'm finding that like the people who I get me really excited from a professional standpoint are people who have this like really rare balance of left and right brain where they can be visionaries, they can be creatives, they can come up with ideas that like I haven't heard before and get me really excited. They can create things that I haven't really seen before and get me really excited. And they can be organized, reliable, get shit done, all those things that are like typically, other side of the brain. That is like, to me, a unicorn status. And like you are unicorn status in my book.
What's from The Office? My horn can pierce the sky.
Oh, The Office. I miss The Office. It's funny. Actually, I recently had a situation like this where we're like, we need to do this thing and we need to do it at a pinch and we don't have a lot of money for it. And the like irony of that is when I went down that route and we didn't pay a lot, we got what we paid for. It was painful. It was longer and probably really indirectly more expensive. So it's just like, you have to invest in things to like get the quality you want. So I hear you.
Yeah. It feels great to be heard. Brittany, thank you for your time.